How's life? I don't own a tablet, but should I get one? That was the question in my mind for a long time, since 2012 to be precise, because that's when I got my first and my last tablet, the Nexus 7. Who remembers that one? I love Nexus devices, but that's a video for another day. So then I got the chance to try out the Samsung Galaxy Tab S10 Plus. At first I thought it's a big tablet, a 12.4-inch display. My MacBook Pro is 13 inches, so yeah. But boy does it have a beautiful AMOLED screen. Such a joy to watch videos on. Should I even be surprised? It is Samsung we're talking about here. And because of the big screen, I forget that it's an Android device. So I don't need to open the browser and then go to Google Maps. There's just an app for it. And the wide aspect ratio of the Tab S10 Plus means that web browsing in portrait mode is very pleasant. You see a lot of content on a single page. There's also an anti-reflective coating on the screen, so I didn't have any issues with glare. It is kind of strange though that Samsung went with an under-display fingerprint scanner. I would have expected one on the side where the power button is, but I've got to say that it's not the fastest scanner out there, but it did work well and accurately most of the time. And you get so many benefits if you own a Samsung phone. It's not just the setup process that's easy with all your apps and settings moving over. Transferring files between Samsung devices is super easy. Copy pasting between devices or taking calls even on another Samsung device is just handed over, and it's a smooth process overall if you use Samsung devices. So it's all super recognizable if you've been in the Apple ecosystem. I personally do tend to change phones, so when I'm not on a Samsung, then these won't be very helpful. The battery life held up well with light to medium use each day. So that was usually around 1 to 2 hours a day, and it would last up to 5 days for me. And charging at 45 watts is supported, although you don't get a brick in the box, just a Type-C to Type-C cable. If you charge at 45 watts though, you should be juiced up pretty quick at around 1 to 1.5 hours. The Tab S10 Plus is kind of a portable device, so you can easily leave it around in the living room or at the kitchen table, or just in your backpack if you don't feel like taking your laptop. Just be aware that this is the Plus model, which weighs around the 500 grams mark. Not the lightest, mind you, and if you use the keyboard cover like I do, then it will add a bit more heft. We'll get to the keyboard later on though. It's also possible to get a slightly more expensive cellular version if you really want to be connected wherever you are. For me though, the Wi-Fi model is plenty. Else I can always connect it to my mobile hotspot, which I've done on a recent vacation to Germany. Now, the price is $1,000 for the 256 gigabyte storage option. Definitely a pro price, but it does have pro level specs too. The gorgeous AMOLED screen like we mentioned. There's also the S Pen which is included. There's 12 gigabytes of RAM and you can bump it up to 512 gigabytes of storage. There's also a micro SD slot which you access like a SIM card tray, meaning you will need a pin with you at all times. Unfortunately, we're all about the full-sized SD cards here on the channel, but if yours is micro-sized, this might be great to have. Oh, and I almost forgot that this feature was there, but the tablet has a camera. Cameras, actually. There's a 13 megapixel wide angle and an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle lens on the back. But don't expect much. There's a lot of noise in the images, especially when there's less than ideal amount of light. They're not bad by any means, but just beware that it's not a smartphone that you have in here. And there's also a 12 megapixel ultra wide selfie camera, which is handy for video calls. You want to see if this 2024 tablet can beat an almost 4-year-old Samsung S21? Here are some samples. This is how I look and sound on the front-facing camera of the Galaxy Tab S10 and the Samsung Galaxy S21. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. You get a bunch of camera options like you're used to on a Samsung phone, video mode, portrait mode, and even a pro mode with more manual controls. Not sure who's using the camera system on a tablet this much when you likely have a better camera in your smartphone. Anyone watching use the camera on their tablet? If so, for what? And like we mentioned, you get the S Pen. It being included with the tablet is an excellent move by Samsung. No need to buy it separately. I bet. It snaps onto the back of the tablet and charges wirelessly. And it's quite fun to write handwritten notes or take a screenshot of a specific part of your screen and make annotations. The real fun part is learning to draw using the Pen Up app. How's my Rabbit R2 looking? Or better yet, use the Sketch to Image app. Draw something and have AI make it into an image for you. It's a shame that your drawing skills need to be of a basic level. I've got a long way to go. What I also really like is the multitasking feature, where the apps can pop up like small windows hovering over each other. And this is even more useful when you connect the tablet to an external monitor and fire up Dex. With a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, it's hard to think that this is an Android tablet. If I didn't need to run heavy video editing software or graphics-intensive games, but just needed web access similar to a Chromebook, but with the ability to use it as a tablet, then this would be fantastic. And speaking of using it like a laptop, if you get this tablet, I would really suggest getting the keyboard cover. I have the one with the trackpad, but there's also a slim version without the trackpad. I just wouldn't recommend the white since it does get dirty very quickly. The keys are great and there's decent travel for a portable keyboard case. The trackpad is a bit finicky and not 100% responsive all of the time. I've had my fair share of mistaps and swipes. The best alternative is just to touch the tablet directly or use a Bluetooth mouse. You get some quick controls on the keyboard for changing brightness and volume. Very useful, but you need to hold down the FN button before you can use those keys. Kind of annoying. The Galaxy Tab S10 Plus, albeit a bit heavy and unwieldy for long in-the-hand sessions, you're going to want to put it on your lap or on a table. The case will help with a kickstand that can go quite flat if you plan to draw or write. And the keyboard is a separate part, which means you can choose which part you need. If you're just watching Netflix in bed, then you can remove the keyboard unit. And there's a little slot or compartment to store the S Pen on the back, which is great because I was very afraid to lose it otherwise. In my time with the Samsung Galaxy Tab S10 Plus, it held up really well. I haven't faced any stutters or crashes. I've enjoyed watching videos, typing up the script for this video, using the S Pen to write notes, and learn to draw and read a bunch of stuff online. There's not much to fault for it except one thing. The price. You're spending $1,000 for the tablet, which does thankfully include the S Pen, but an additional $200 for the keyboard cover. So $1,200, yes, we can do math. We're Indian. It can be a hard pill to swallow for some. So who's it for? If you really plan to use all that the Galaxy Tab has to offer, then it makes a lot of sense. Do you use it as a laptop for most of your work and you hook it up via Dex to get more of a desktop experience? Do you use the S Pen for writing notes or drawing? Do you own a Samsung phone or laptop and need seamless integration? And are you taking full advantage of the gorgeous AMOLED display to watch videos like this one? And heck, even game and do some basic photo or video editing? Then this Galaxy Tab does make a lot of sense, especially when smartphones sometimes cost more and do less. End of life.